Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of JayEmm Friends. Now, as part of what we do, we travel to a lot of places and that means staying in a lot of hotels. But for the most part, we don't talk about those because that's not what you're interested in. However, this week's is a very different kind of hotel. One that is different enough, I think it is worth its own video. This is Motorworld Munich. So what exactly is Motorworld? Is it a hotel? Is it an expo centre? Is it a collector car storage facility? Is it a car dealership, a service centre, or just a secret society for all those who worship at the altar of high octane? Well, the truth is, it is all of those and so much more. And so, to give you just a little flavour of what you might expect to find if you come here, I have been joined by my good friends Damani and Anthony from the channels Sports and Touring and of course JayEmm Friends, and we are going to give you a little sneaky walk around the place and show you some of our highlights.
Now James, we've both got cars in storage, but it looks nothing like this. I mean, this is like Matchbox car collector setup, but for grown-ups.
Yeah, I mean, where do you even start with this lot? You know what, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this, but yesterday I thought that was a 4C. It is not a 4C.
That's an 8C.
That's an 8C.
That's gorgeous.
That is stunning, and it's in the 8C red. Love that. We got a McLaren. I mean, there's a lot of McLarens in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of McLarens.
Yeah, there's a lot of McLarens. We'll talk about those in a bit.
The usual suspects, Huracan.
Gorgeous Alpha.
Yeah.
I think it's a Julia. Jack from number 27 is going to kill me because I can't identify it at sight. Love that kind of sort of, not really rat look, that's unfair, but that sort of funky 911.
Yeah.
That is epic. Actually, I got a soft spot for the Jeeps as well, I will confess. And Alpina. You know, on this trip, I have seen a lot of Alpinas.
Yeah.
Like just out and about. They love them here. And you know what? I've seen 3 of.
What?
Z1s.
Yes. Yes.
BMW Z1s. We saw one this morning. There was a car meet here today. Incredible.
And of course they have to slide the doors down.
Yeah.
There's only one thing better than doors that go up, and that's doors that slide down.
Absolutely. So this whole setup here, it's like one of those games you played as a kid where you've got to try and make the picture and only one square is missing. Yep. And that apparently is how this works. So someone turns up, you want your car out of here, they press some buttons and just the whole thing moves and delivers your car.
2 minutes apparently. They can get any car out from any position in here in 2 minutes or less. Obviously if the car is on the floor, it comes out pretty much straight away. But if it's right at the top, the shuffling process takes 2 minutes or less.
Amazing.
Which is pretty incredible.
And how many places do you get to see a Roma next to what looks like an old Rolls-Royce Phantom?
That is pretty epic.
That's amazing.
And you mentioned to me there's a very special Rolls-Royce here today.
Yes, there is. Let's have a look at that. So this is fairly cool. It is a Rolls-Royce Phantom 2 into which somebody has squeezed a 27-litre V12 aero engine from 1918, which, according to that little data sheet over there, makes 550 horsepower at a heady 1600 RPM.
Wow. And
has no less than 30 litres of oil and 70 litres of coolant in it.
How many litres of coolant?
70.
Oh my goodness.
But this isn't the cool Rolls-Royce.
No, it's this one over here.
Yeah.
Now, for someone who flew like a butterfly and stung like a bee, this is no butterfly.
No, it is a genuine heavyweight.
Yes.
Now, this car is a 1970 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, and the first owner was one Mr. Cassius Clay, who later that very same year changed his name to Muhammad Ali.
Heavyweight champion of the world.
This is a cool car. Now, often I'm not really interested or excited by celebrity ownership of cars, but I think in this case, I kinda am.
And Muhammad Ali wasn't just a celebrity, he was an icon, and he changed the face of modern boxing. He made it into a commercial success that today even YouTubers are capitalizing on. So when are we having our first boxing match, James?
You want some? You want some? Now, from the old to the new, this place is effectively a sort of indoors industrial estate. So just about everything you see here is a business which has then rented some space. The hotel itself occupies kind of one end of the building, and most of the rooms then look into it. So outside my window, I've got a view of a Mercedes 300 SL. And this also means that you have this amazing variety of cars. So you have things like those old Rolls Royces and these brand new Alpines. This is one of several new car dealerships here. There's also Bugatti, who are currently undergoing renovation, but have been kind enough to leave 4 Chirons out the front. Then there's McLaren, who've got a lot of cars, and there's even, for those fond of two wheels, a Triumph dealership too.
Let's go and take a look, I think, at the McLarens, because actually I think they've got some pretty cool ones.
They do.
So now we're at the McLaren dealership, where we've got an example of just about every recent McLaren, from the Artura to, well, you pretty much name it.
12C, 650, there's a bunch of 675s over there, there's a Senna in there. Actually, I think we saw a Senna GTR.
Somewhere.
Yeah. P1s, there's 2 P1s over there undercover.
Yep.
It's pretty much a who's who of McLaren in here.
And I really like this colour. You know me, I normally am quite boring and I have a white car, but this orange I think is particularly striking, and with the extra carbon bits like the vents, I think this particular Artura I think is quite attractive.
But they aren't the only British manufacturer in here.
Yes, and one in particular that I'm thinking of will probably surprise you.
Now this is a Lotus Exige. Specifically, it's an LF1 edition, which they did a few years ago, and it's a plaques and stripes special, but I still really, really want one. Every single one of the 81 I think they made was designed to commemorate one of Lotus Formula One victories. But this next to me, you may be less familiar with, but underneath, it's also an Exige. This is a Melkus RS 2000 GT. Until I saw it, I didn't know it existed either.
Now, one of the cool things about this one is that the doors go up.
They do.
If you want a Lotus that isn't about going fast on track and is about looking cool, I think this is the one to get.
And I think this is where McLaren got their idea for the 720s roof glass from.
Oh, yes. Very, very cool. Very, very odd proportions, but I like it. I like it. Something different.
Two of these big clever glass storage cases in here. This is the second one, and in it you've got stuff including a 911 996 turbo, above that a Dodge Viper, over there we have an LFA, and below it an R33 Skyline, and here you've got a BMW Studio in which they've got no fewer than 3 Z8s.
And the reason that we're whispering is because in here is one of the rooms where someone is sleeping with their car. Not in a weird way, but you have a glass box that you drive the car into, and you can view your car from your very own bed in this hotel. Perfect.
And if you're a two-wheeled fan, you can get one of their bike studios. This one's for my buddy Darren. This is a Mercedes 500e. And if you're a card-carrying car bore like we are, you know how special this is. Now, I always wanted to own a car that was good enough to go in a museum. Apparently, I do.
Look at this, it's a Scud.
I know, and a very, very similar specification to mine, although I was trying to work out earlier why it didn't look like a Scud to me, and actually it was Damani that pointed it out. There's no stripe.
Yeah, very unusual. I have not seen one without a stripe.
No, it actually kind of looks quite good, I think, like that.
It makes it a little more understated. It's one of those cars that either you know or you don't.
It widens it too, but
True.
You know what, I gotta be honest, Sam, if you're watching, the Stradale is the better looking car. It just is.
I disagree. I prefer the looks of the 430.
Yeah. Now, I was tempted to bring it on this trip, of course, but the fact is I had a lot of places to go, a lot of things to do, and though I am desperate to maybe come back in the 430, I actually bought a whole car just for this trip, which was my Vantage N400 Roadster, and it has been amazing. Now, this is actually a very, very rare occasion for me because I am actually on holiday. Yes, still working, but these guys are doing really, honestly, the lion's share of things. And you've had quite a time yourselves too, haven't you?
Absolutely, and I can understand why you brought the M400, because you put the roof down, that V8, especially in the tunnels. I've been thoroughly enjoying the trip. Both Tamani and I have been sharing the driving in the GT, partly because of its seats being not ideal for long distances, and we came here via the Nürburgring.
Yeah. And it's your first time driving in Germany?
Yes, and I've fallen in love with it. The roads are amazing. The lane discipline on the motorways is immensely better than in the UK.
It really is.
And of course, if you have a nice clear road, you don't have to worry about arbitrary speed limits. You just go as fast as it's safe to do so. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know, people are trusted to be grown-ups and not be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I've been coming to Germany for nearly 20 years now. I started coming here when I was studying at school, and I did an exchange program. I did quite a few road trips here when I was younger. I really fell in love with the place. Now, I, off camera, have been over to Austria. I went to Vienna where my other half had some work to do, so I spent a few days out there, and then I knew I was going to have a sort of spare long weekend before she and I met back up, and that's why I hatched this idea of coaxing you to come out here and share, I mean, what honestly was one of the greatest driving days of my life the other day. We just got out a map, I looked at what looked like some nice squiggly bits of road, we went out, and it was just, it was fantastic.
It was epic.
And I would really encourage anybody who's been thinking for a little while about coming down here and exploring the roads to do so, and believe us when we say, yeah, the autobahns are lovely, but for me, I think the best bit has been getting to talk to the people, getting to experience and enjoy the German culture, which I'm a big fan of, and also heading down into the Alps and just soaking up that scenery, for which the cars we took were
perfect.
Yeah.
Roof down, complete visibility of all the scenery around us and those winding roads. And I'm sorry, James, I think you probably had the best experience getting there, but we definitely had the best experience through every one of those corners.
You did. And now, no matter what happens to either of these cars, we've got those memories, and that really is what it's all about. And we are both coming back here soon.
And I think you need a convertible Ferrari, James. I really do. Now, there aren't any here that I can see, but there are some special Ferraris. Let's have a quick look at a couple of them that I really want to point out. One of those special Ferraris is this. It's the F48, a Koenig Special with 550 horsepower. And this one happens to be for sale for £350,000. However, under the skin, it's actually a 348.
Actually, let me stop you there. Not only is it a 348, I've just noticed, it's a 348 Targa.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I've driven the 348 Targa and 355. They're not the most rigid of things. So this one with its 550 horsepower turbo engine is probably quite interesting.
To say the least.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about it is that it kind of from a distance looks like it's trying to be an F40, like a wide-bodied, Japanese body-kitted F40, and I don't know, it's like a fake F40. So, I don't know, I think you have to know your cars. For me, I'd rather have a real F40. The difference being that this is going for £350,000 as opposed to
2 million quid.
2 million quid.
And actually, I think you're onto something there. You mentioned the Japanese thing. This is a right-hand drive car. Yeah. So I wager there is a good chance that at some point this may have been in Japan, because this is the sort of stuff that they love over there. Although I'm not quite so sure about that thing in there. Now what you can see here just behind me in the middle there is a Ferrari 550 Barchetta, the open top limited edition version of the 550, a car that I certainly love. Behind it you've got a couple of other older Ferraris, but what is most unusual in here is this. Now only this morning did they actually put the bonnet down so we can see it in all of its glory, if you want to call it that. This is, believe it or not, also a 550, but a bread van homage, a tribute to one of Ferrari's old racing cars. Now, from the front, it has, to me, more than a faint whiff of old Pontiac Firebird from the 1990s with its big nostrils. And I'm not sure I'm keen on the, well, Homer-esque little bubble dome so you can see the engine in the middle of the bonnet. But it's certainly rare, and I remember reading about this car. I never thought I'd actually see it. That's one of the things that I love about coming here. There is so much cool stuff. And because these are chiefly sales businesses, well, it's changing all the time. And believe me when I say that what we've shown you today is just a tiny slice of all of the amazing stuff that is here on display at Motorworld. There's been a car meet in the car park this morning. We've seen cars go out and come in at the many different businesses around here, and we haven't even mentioned all of the restaurants, bars and cafes where you can stop, get a drink, have something to eat, from your classic currywurst to a pizza to a fancy cocktail. And right front and center in the middle of the building, there's also a huge LED cube display where today we watched the very exciting Formula One race in Austria. And so that is a little quick whistle-stop tour of Motorworld Munich. We naturally would highly recommend that you stay here, and best of all, it isn't even that expensive. And I'm sure you'll want to know the parking is both very good and very reasonably priced if you're staying here too. So that's it from myself, Ant and Damani here at JayEmm Friends. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.